Hello, everyone, from wherever you're listening and watching in. Welcome to this admitted student webinar geared around the College of Community and Public Affairs, CCPA, as we'll call it from here on out. Thank you all for attending again. I have a very distinguished panel of guests that are going to assist and provide their perspectives and give more information about the programs that are offered in CCPA. But let's start. My name is Justin Brim. I'm an admissions counselor here with the Undergraduate Admissions Office. I'm also the admissions liaison to CCPA. I've been happy to work with our faculty, staff, and current students in CCPA for the last couple of years. And I'm trying to think. I've been working at Binghamton 5 years, originally from Brooklyn, New York, graduate of a SUNY institution. And yeah, I've recruited all across the country and just happy to be here talking more about Binghamton with you all. So I'll turn, yes, anybody like to take it next? We can introduce our panelists. Anybody like to start? Maybe Regina or Sarah?
Sure, I'll go next.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sarah Young. I am the director of the BSW, or Baccalaureate in Social Work program director. I've been on the faculty at Binghamton for 4 years. I actually grew up in the area. I was a practicing social worker for 10 years, and I'm really excited to hear your questions and hear more from you.
My name is Regina Alfieri Squire, and I am the Director of Undergraduate Student Services at the College of Community and Public Affairs. I'm a 2-time Binghamton alumna, and I'm proud to say that I did my master's degree at CCPA in Student Affairs Administration. I knew I wanted to have a career in higher education, and I couldn't be more happy that it's been playing out here at CCPA for all this time.
Awesome. I'm going to turn it over to Jessica and Katie. I want to start.
Okay. I'll go. My name is Katie. I'm a BSW student. It's my 2nd year at Binghamton, and it's my 2nd semester in the BSW program. And I'm from Nassau County, Long Island. And yeah.
So hi, everybody. My name is Jessica. I am a senior studying human development with a minor in Latin American Caribbean Studies, and I'm also doing the 4+1 in the Masters of Public Administration at CCPA, and I'm also from Nassau County, Long Island.
Awesome. So I'm going to turn it over to my distinguished fellow coworkers here, it'd be cool to be closer there, but that's all good. Yeah, I'll turn it over. Maybe Tanya, you want to start?
Hi, my name is Tanya Barajas. I'm an admission counselor at Binghamton University. I also do international admissions. So if you have any questions today, I'm going to be on the chat.
Awesome. And David?
Hi, everyone. I am David Babb. I am the New Jersey admission officer based in New Jersey. If you have any questions about admissions, I've been here for 2 years. I can help you out.
Yes, we are happy to help you out. And I know we've had a lot of admitted student webinars and general information webinars, so you've probably seen our faces several times. We have some new faces here, and really to share more information about CCPA. So let's get started. I think we'll start first, actually, with a welcome from our Dean of CCPA. Just bear with me real quick as I share my screen.
Congratulations. I'm Laura Bronstein, the Dean of the College of Community and Public Affairs, or CCPA as we call it. Although these unusual circumstances mean we're unable to meet in person right now, I'm thrilled to be able to speak with you. I'm very proud of how our students, faculty, and staff live up to CCPA's mission of solving pressing problems to make our world a better place every day. Our many research endeavors help people across the nation and across the globe. Our graduates pursue a variety of careers and career paths. They've gone on to be teachers, counselors, attorneys, high-ranking officials in government, and business leaders. Many earn graduate degrees in social work, public administration, environmentalism, education, student affairs administration, or human rights. Wherever they go, our students reflect Binghamton University's commitment to excellence and high standards, and the dedication to effective public service that is nurtured and embedded in CCPA. When you come to Binghamton University, you'll witness the remarkable sense of community in CCPA for yourself. I'll be delighted to welcome you in person this fall.
Yes, and let's talk a little more about CCPA at Binghamton. Okay. So as we mentioned, and as you saw, the College of Community and Public Affairs has a number of unique, exploratory, and focused undergraduate and graduate programs. So one of the things I think that is awesome about CCPA and the programs that we have, especially in the undergraduate level, is the opportunity for exploration. So you might hear that word used a lot through this presentation, so much so you would think I get 15 cents every time I say it. Human development. Human development, or HDEV, as we we'll talk about it more and focus on that acronym. Human development is the study of human behavior within a variety of social environments. I think that's very important, because if you have to think of potential careers you may be interested in, what more is involved than the interaction with social environments, with other people, and getting to know different people across different cultures, races, ethnicities, backgrounds, whether that be socioeconomic, identities, right? Gender identity, religious or secular identity. You're going to meet in all of your careers that you may be interested in, that you bring to this webinar. There are a number of different people that you're going to interact with in your individual field, within your individual job, even if you're working from home, or you're working in a more individual focus related to your position. You're going to be interacting with people, and that's where the importance of human development comes in. Our human development major students gain a better understanding of the world around them. You know, they get to look at society through different lenses. They get to look at different cultures. And if you think of other disciplines that you're probably thinking about or interested in, it sounds like a nice combination of a number of different disciplines, whether it be sociology, anthropology, psychology, aspects of education, right? Depending on the career you might be interested in, which human development can help you span into. It could be everything from environmental sciences. It could be more natural physical sciences. It can be a number of different things, political science, philosophy, just scratching the surface. So it prepares students, HDEV prepares students for careers in anything from public service professions, even in many cases, private sector professions too. If you think about working in the private sector for those, what is the importance of getting to know human behavior in different situations, how that interacts with the private sector. Human services, right? Nonprofit work, human resources. One really crucial thing about our HDEV students and what they're able to develop here and grow as, and is learning about the importance of social justice, right? Human rights and social interaction, and interacting with different communities. It prepares students for graduate schools, everything in professional opportunities such as law school, med school, education, professional and leadership roles that students will take in the educational field, and much, 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 much more. I won't spend too much more time on this slide. The specific undergraduate degree requirements: about 120, a minimum of 124 credits. And that includes a mix of your general education requirements. All students have a general education, liberal arts and science requirement that they have to fulfill here. And that's kind of the backbone or the basis of the undergraduate education here at Binghamton University. We don't lose sight of the importance of your social sciences, your humanities, your learning about different cultures, right? Global interdependencies, your aesthetics, you know, the importance of the composition and the writing intensive, the importance of that. So a mix of liberal arts and sciences, and there's also opportunities within HDEV for free electives. So some of you might want to take that and make that a minor, or in some cases even a second major. But then some of you might want to take different classes that you just find an interest in, whether it's through Harper Arts and Sciences or another school. So that's one of the benefits of our HDEV program. And then, of course, in addition to your upper level courses, amongst different disciplines, you have your specific core courses in HDEV. So as I mentioned, with our general education courses, I mentioned the importance of everything from composition to your sciences, laboratory science and social sciences, your humanities, even your health and wellness, foreign language. These are all very important in making up this overall general education curriculum. But then within the social sciences, once again, as I mentioned, you know, you're going to be able to take courses amongst many different social sciences, everything related to psychology, to anthropology, political science, geology, and more. And then there are, of course, some very strong foundation courses. The Introduction to Human Development. This is really starting for you to learn about the importance of learning about different human behavior amongst different situations and social environments. So that's what HDEV really begins to kind of lean in on and focus in when you're getting more into the major. Research methods. Research methods is a course that's important amongst many disciplines, and this is something that you'll develop here in HDEV. I mentioned the importance of social justice, learning about human rights and advocacy, and those aspects amongst different societies, and that's another foundational course here in HDEV. And then your practicum in human development, which involves, and anybody jump in as well, but it involves more of the kind of outside the classroom learning experience when it comes to the human development program. Your core learning areas include 2 courses from anything from different HDEV theories, social action, right, and policy, and then of course the importance, once again, working with individuals and groups. So a lot of you, and I actually looked at the registrations for a lot of you who had signed up for this webinar, and what was amazed me, but didn't necessarily surprise me, what was awesome was just the diversity of disciplines that you all share interest in. Many of you were undecided, but a lot of you also showed interest in everything from, once again, sciences such as biology or chemistry, but also social sciences, right? Psychology, anthropology, in addition to those who specifically were applied for and were admitted for HDEV or interest in social work, right? So once again, a diversity of disciplines, and I think that applies to human development. You can go into social work and social services careers. You can go into public administration. You in a number of different ways. You can working on policy and working in nonprofit work in the public sector. You can work at a college or university, kind of spanning into the student affairs administration program, where that can take a number of different facets: advising, mentoring, being a faculty member as well, working in different administration through different student services departments. You can go into counseling. And of course, as you know, with counseling, that takes a number of different formats. So what we assist with you and help you here with HDEV is maybe what field of counseling you may want to go into. This specific slide highlights the criminal justice system. And I know some of you, I meet at college fairs, will express an interest in something related to either criminal justice or criminology or another facet of that field. And but more on a counseling end. And that's where our HDEV program can assist you with if you want to go into counseling careers for something very specific. Education. The education opportunities here are endless as well. Not just those that want to teach maybe on the elementary or secondary level, right, or early childhood level, but those that want to go into educational leadership. Maybe you want to go into education and some other disciplines about teaching more about that specific field. So that is where HDEV also can come into play with helping you get the foundational background and focus for many different educational careers. And I mentioned criminal justice and mental health programs, and of course law. Pre-law, American Law Association, that doesn't specifically require or recommend any specific discipline. So our HDEV students are able to develop skills that they can use in the application processes for law schools all across the country and even outside the country. And then once again, as I showed in the beginning, it also can apply to those that want to go into other professional schools such as medicine or other health careers too. But just in CCPA, there are many other graduate programs that our students who complete an undergraduate degree, not just in CCPA, but other schools throughout Binghamton University, can continue on to graduate opportunities, master's and PhD programs. So as I mentioned, our teaching, learning, and educational leadership, our TLEL programs, and our Master of Science, Arts, and Teaching, and our MS Ed and Ed.D. We have our students that want to go into social work, but maybe through the human development program, get a lot of different opportunities that can then span into, and by the time they complete HDEV, they do want to go into just say a social work program or a social work career, and the MSW is waiting right there for them. We have students, as I mentioned, we want to go into health careers that may want to do an MPH through public health, an exploratory kind of interdisciplinary program. I mentioned the MPA, our public administration program. Those who want to go into community research and action, we have a graduate PhD program in that. And I want to highlight a couple other last programs that we have as graduate programs here at CCPA. Our new MS in Human Rights. So once again, you're going to hear a lot about the importance of social justice and human rights and development here. And that is, we have a master's program which allows students to take advantage of graduate programs and opportunities in working right in the human rights realm. And then I mentioned some of you may be coming with specific interests related to sustainability or environmental studies or sciences. That may be in the kind of biology, chemistry, geology area. That could be in the geography area. That could be in the policy area. So some of you might be interested in certain policy aspects, but want to focus it on sustainability and working to better the environment in many different facets. And this is where our MS in Sustainable Communities, another interdisciplinary program with several schools here at Binghamton, comes into play. It's right here offered right in CCPA. So as you see, not just careers, but even the post-undergrad focus can be in a number of different disciplines. Talking a little more about the support that you're going to receive as a student here in HDEV, it really starts with the academic advising, and it spans into so much more, but it starts with the academic advising. It's going to prepare you for a course, registering for courses, right? But, you know, walking in knowing that HDEV is going to allow you to explore. It's going to allow you to think of a lot of different careers that you might have not thought of before. And this is where you can also, with your academic advisor, talk about the academic interests that you have in your career goals. Maybe something you weren't thinking about, maybe something that you have laser focused on, and you can look at it from different ways. Considering studying abroad. In HDEV, students have the opportunity to study abroad, and as part of the State University of New York, for those of you who've been on other webinars probably earlier today, or have visited a campus in the past for a tour, or just research Binghamton, you may have already known this. The State University of New York, SUNY, which we're a university center in among 64 campuses, has the largest study abroad program in the country. So you can take advantage of, I believe, over 1,000 programs, not 100, 1,000. Somebody asked me at a college fair about can they study abroad in Sydney, Australia? And I said, well, let's check. And we looked up a specific database. And lo and behold, I believe, I might not be 100%, but I think it's over 27 or 28 programs just in Australia alone. I think the majority of those 28 were in Sydney. So what I use that as an example is HDEV students and students throughout CCPA and Binghamton University can take advantage of study abroad opportunities all across the world that you can tailor specifically to certain potential career interests, service learning, or a number of different facets. You can, of course, discuss options for course add, drops, pass, fail, or anything related to a specific course that you're taking within the program. And just once again, monitoring the progress. What we're trying to say here is that your academic advisor and more is really there for you to assist you with your development in this HDEV program and everything that you can do in it and stuff that you weren't thinking about as well. But then in addition to our academic advisor, it's hugely important that, and you will get to know your peer advisors. These are CCPA HDEV students who are assisting you just really with not just general guidance, right? But everything from schedule building, course suggestions, you know, scheduling your courses, and once again, adding and dropping courses, but overall, really just the general guidance of how you can navigate this HDEV program, everything you can take advantage of and do with it. There are many different opportunities. So definitely check that out as you see the Instagram account highlighting our HDEV peer advisors. But speaking of peer advisors, I'd like to talk a little more actually about, or pass it over to, let me just get out of the screen real quick. And pass it over to Jessica. Would you like to talk a little more maybe about your experience as an HDEV peer advisor?
Yeah, so hello, I'm one of a number of the peer advisors at CCPA, and what we offer is, as mentioned, like a lot of academic assistance. So like what classes apply to whichever major or minors you're trying to complete, as well as like producing insight on which classes might be more fit for your career aspirations or your interests. We also help with like time management skills and provide information on like internship and opportunities that you may not have known of that are both on and off campus. But we can also act as kind of like a social guidance to transitioning into the university. So like one of the biggest things that we get asked is like how to navigate the bus system, since CCPA is off the main campus on in Vestal. However, what we find is that like because students do HDEV and they take these classes off campus, off the main campus, they actually learn more about what buses to take, which then helps their transition if people choose to move off campus. And then we also help with like recommendations for clubs or organizations that fit students' needs and things like that. And like essentially we kind of just provide our own experiences and our friends' experiences within HDEV or just the wider Binghamton University culture, just to help students learn more that faculty, like that gap, like a peer's perspective. And a little bit more about me and like my experience with HDEV. I actually joined HDEV as a sophomore, and I actually wish I kind of learned about it sooner because I really love my major. Especially the social, like it's similar to a social culture psychology with an emphasis on social justice, which a lot of programs don't discuss, and it's something that's real world applicant. And also what I really love about our CCPA majors is that they're very applicable and flexible. So like if you have other interests, it's very easy to take those classes, or if you want to do like an accelerated program like I am doing, it can not only save you time and money, but you're able to learn more about what you want to, how you want to change the world essentially.
Great, thank you. I'm trying to think of something before I move on. I wanted to, that you mentioned, I want to highlight. Oh, so a couple things. You had mentioned about that you kind of found HDEV and then you started as a second-year student. So some of you watching, once again, may be undecided, and that's maybe why you're here as well, right? You've heard about it. You're like, what more is this? I want to learn more about the programs in CCPA. And that's another thing that you can find. You probably have heard through your research on the intra-university transfer process. So I won't talk about that in a lot of detail, but generally, if you find you know, as an undecided student, you're taking different courses, especially in your general education curriculum, that you find a program in CCPA as undergrad level that you want to explore, there are opportunities to internally transfer into CCPA to begin your degree or to pick up even a degree. Our Binghamton students in many cases are overachievers in a good way. I mean that in a good way. And there are many opportunities for you to not just, you know, switch into a certain program or school, but to pick up a degree or do an accelerated degree as well, where you can combine in an accelerated time frame both a bachelor's degree and a master's or graduate degree. So these are opportunities as well. One other really quick thing I wanted to highlight, you had mentioned, Jessica, about the University Downtown Center. So I know Dean Bronstein highlighted that too, but let me just talk really quickly about when I mentioned the general education curriculum, right? And the possibilities, HDEV students, right? Whether you're, where the majority of students, of course, in HDEV will be coming strictly in, have identified that as their major. Because of the general education curriculum and the kind of interdisciplinary nature of that, you will be taking a lot of your courses on the Vestal campus as well. So those who have visited know the Vestal campus is our 900-acre campus, and Vestal is kind of our, you highlighted the main campus. We have several campuses that make up, and complexes that make up Binghamton University, but that specific campus has the majority of our academic buildings and programs. And you will have a connection directly to the Vestal campus, as well as your undergraduate coursework, especially in the upper level that you begin taking in the human development, and later as I talk about the Bachelor of Social Work program as well. So thank you for those tidbits. Thank you for your perspectives, and let's go again as I share my screen again, and let's talk a little more about the Bachelor of Social Work, or BSW. So yes, welcome everybody again who has been admitted. So an interest in social work, pre-social work program. I'm going to talk a little more about BSW, as I'll call it from here on out. The importance of BSW, the importance of social work, right? The undergraduate experience is really to highlight and understand social work values, right? The ethics, the nature of the field, as well as the professional behavior for those who are in the social work and human services disciplines and fields. A generalist curriculum, you're going to learn competency-based education and about a strengths-based perspective, right? A very signature part of the BSW program and the experience is the field education. So the field education, which I'll talk a little about later, is really going to highlight you, of course, getting out into the field, getting outside the classroom and being in the human services and social work fields outside of kind of your initial discipline within the classroom. And that is crucial to learning more about your place in the field, a future career within the social work discipline, and kind of what you're looking to kind of, and how you're going to navigate all of that. It really does. Of course, it's in the classroom through your faculty, staff, and your peers, but a very signature, crucial element of BSW and the preparation that you receive and develop is through the field education. In the Department of Social Work, of course, on the undergraduate and graduate programs, and this obviously applies to CCPA as a school as well, is this commitment, as I mentioned, to human development, to social justice, human rights, diversity, equity, inclusion, identity. right? Research interest, as a research university, a top tier research university, you are going to have opportunities on the undergraduate and graduate level to explore research. A lot of you might not be thinking about research. A lot of you might be thinking that research was something maybe left for the specific STEM, fields, the mathematics, right? The computer science, or maybe you're looking at biology. You think, okay, that's somebody more doing that. Research is available here in every single major. It's available in human development. It's available in our social work program, and that's key too. You're going to develop the opportunities to engage in research, whether that's research that's individual, that's faculty advised. It's opportunities to get grants to do research over summers or throughout a semester or post-semester or post-grad. And there are opportunities, of course, to join research teams to work with faculty on their research as well. So please don't forget about the importance, especially in our social work programs, about the importance of research and developing those interests and kind of finding that something that you might be interested in as well. And as I mentioned, the practice experience, the field education, the actually practicing the social work and what the what is the word? I'm a little tongue-tied here. The importance of what you're going to develop, those skills that apply to many different fields within social work. Now, those who had applied as first-year students and who are admitted or admitted into our pre-social work program. Now, within that, it's that you're developing the skills amongst your liberal arts and sciences, once again, your general arts and sciences programs, in addition to kind of taking these transfer paths, these important core courses that set you up to begin to take the core social work programs in the undergraduate level. So in addition to your liberal arts and sciences, which I talked about earlier, right? Your social sciences, your lab sciences, your even aesthetics and your composition and things of the like, you're also going to take programs including an intro to social work practice. You're going to take an intro to psychology. These are important core courses as prerequisites that are important transfer paths for when you begin your social work curriculum, your core curriculum. Intro to sociology, statistics. Statistics is a program that is usually either a requirement or highly encouraged in almost any discipline. So that's something that if you haven't, many of you I see take EP stats and take dual enrollment courses in high school, and those who are coming from other colleges have already taken stats or have considered stats. That's something that is key in the social work program and other disciplines too. And in human biology, learning about where it's cell and molecular biology, there's kind of like a two different sequence. So you have like a lab, this is a laboratory science. So this is important, learning about the basics of human biology. And that we also have students that might take anatomy and physiology over the course of your especially those coming in from other colleges, or have started and taken your core courses. You might take anatomy and physiology, and that actually can suffice as well. But human biology is core to the social work curriculum. So the admissions process, as it highlights there, those of you who are admitted into this pre-social work program, also kind of known as CCPA undeclared, and that's also really key, because as you're developing your different skills and different courses, you'll also know that there's possible that as you're going through, social work and the pre-social work curriculum, you also find that you have interest in other things. So this kind of pre-social work program also allows you to maybe jump into applying for a double degree or look into a minor in another discipline in addition to your eventual BSW program. In the spring semester of your sophomore year is when you would go through the application kind of admissions process within the university, right? So those who are in CCPA through the pre-social work program will go through the application and admission process, which includes an interview, meeting with other different faculty and staff within BSW to once again get a sense of the skills that you've developed thus far to make sure you're a good fit for the BSW program. You find this often in many other institutions as well, this pre-social work program that gives you all the skills to eventually go into the core coursework that starts directly into BSW. And there'll be more talked about as well. I know some of you are hopefully sending in questions that Sarah and Katie will be able to also answer. So in your third year, after you've completed your general education curriculum, you've completed your transfer paths, your prerequisites, developed the necessary skills, the foundation to begin in the core BSW curriculum. That's when you continue to hit the ground running with your learning more about social systems, right? This generalist curriculum about this kind of social work curriculum, social welfare policy. You're continuing to develop skills in your courses in social sciences, and it allows you some freedom to take different electives as well on the upper division level if you want to focus on something very specific within a specific social science. You'll learn about human behavior, diversity, and oppression. So how equity, inclusion, or inequity, inequality has shown itself and festered and fostered throughout many different fields, many different professions, many different societies, and how that impacts people in many cases on the ground level. You'll also continue to take other social work electives, and once again, continuing liberal arts and science electives. That's the importance of the exploratory nature of BSW, is that you continue to have these opportunities to kind of combine different disciplines and move them into your curriculum. When you get into your last year, that's when it's beginning to kind of put that practice to focus, right? Trying to get that practice and start to get really in depth with it. So you're going to be working with, practicing with individuals, groups, organizations, communities. You're also going to really start your field instruction. I want to show really quickly, just to highlight on our webpage, on the social work webpage, I wanted to highlight just some aspects of the field education. As I mentioned, this is signature to the social work profession. You're going to spend about 15 hours a week in your internship. It can be a total pretty much of about almost 250 hours across the fall and spring semesters, a little under, a little over, which almost is over 500 total hours for the year in your field education. You get weekly supervision through a licensed social worker through the internship experience, and you can be placed in a variety of different agencies and organizations in a certain mile radius of the university. So we have our organizations and agencies that are directly in the greater Binghamton area. And the greater Broome County area, by the way, is over 200,000 residents. So just as an area for those who have never visited Binghamton and will in the future, you'll learn about this area where Binghamton is the central hub, where also the University Downtown Center and BSW is located, where it's strategically, uniquely placed amongst many different agencies that are geared strictly to social work and human services. So yes, it could be everything from those want to go into more mental health organizations in that field. You want to go into schools, you want to go into child welfare, criminal justice. These are all agencies and organizations that you can, from your skills that you developed previously, then when you get into your field experiences, this is something who our field education and our advisors and staff who work with field placements are really helping you to assist with, to get into the right organization for your supervised field education. So you will work with communities throughout a certain radius of the university, and that's where you develop, once again, this kind of signature pedagogy and development in the specific profession. And that's where you get to really get your feet wet and get out there. Let's see. Actually, Sarah, anything you want to add with field instruction or anything thus far?
Well, I think you're doing great, Justin. We are very excited about the senior year for our BSW students. I think it is the time when practice meets the classroom learning that you're doing. And so we do have placement sites. Luckily for us, we have a really thriving MSW program as well of over 200 students. And so what that means for our BSW students is there are a multitude of internship opportunities, everything from school-based social work to social workers in the criminal justice system, social workers in medical settings, social workers that are community advocates. So I think it's a benefit that we have such a strong MSW program, because our BSW students benefit from that as well. So that's the one thing I'd add.
Thank you.
Sure.
So you might be thinking also, okay, BSW, and your focus, maybe you might be focused strictly on MSW going into the field. And that's where the focus of it comes into play and as a benefit. But once again, it's that exploratory nature. There's so much you can do with a Bachelor of Social Work. It is a very flexible degree. There are job opportunities in every level of, just say, government or agencies related to governmental work. So the local level, the state level, the federal level. in addition to nonprofit organizations on the private level as well, right? So, and these could be private nonprofits or private for-profits, everything from hospitals to treatment facilities to public assistance agencies, treatment centers, correctional centers, research facilities. Once again, an importance of research, community action agencies, right? So community action, community outreach. This is all important too. And that spans into, as I mentioned too, with that PhD program in our community leadership and research. And then you also have, once again, as Sarah mentioned, the advanced standing for an MSW program. So it's similar. You'll find some similarities of what you might find with different education programs, where not only do they have a Master of Education program, right, but they might have potentially a bachelor's, where you think, okay, for those who are definitely saying, okay, I'm going into this career, I'm going in, or at least I'm going into a career in this field, it allows this kind of bachelor pre-professional focus to eventually go into a graduate program such as an MSW to continue to potentially be a licensed social worker. So you heard Sarah briefly, she introduced herself, but just for more contact information, Sarah is available here. And this will be available, of course, as information on the website as well, to learn not just more about BSW, MSW, and other programs throughout the social work department, but also to contact Sarah if you have questions as well. But I also want you to hear from, before we get into more questions, I would like you to hear from Katie. Just go back out of there, stop the share screen. Awesome. Hi, Katie.
My name is Katie. I'm a BSW student, and like I said before, it's my second year at Binghamton, and my second semester in the BSW program. So I chose Binghamton. I didn't really choose it. I knew in high school that I wanted to be a social worker, and I applied to all private schools and one public school, which is Binghamton, and I got in everywhere, and I could only afford Binghamton. So I came into Binghamton a little angry, and there was no social work program, so I had to go with psychology, and I really was not happy. My first semester, I ended up taking psychology and social work, sorry, not social work, sociology, because I wasn't sure which one of those I wanted to do. And while I was there taking those classes, I found out that they were starting a Binghamton social work program that was about to start the next semester. So I really jumped right on that, and it completely changed my outlook. I really, really, really love Binghamton now because I'm in this program. And it just happened to work out that I did 2 of the prerequisites my first semester. So then the second semester, I just doubled down and did all the other ones. And the great thing about CCPA, and in particular social work, is that you work so closely with your advisors because the cohort sizes are so small that I was able to work with my advisors to not only do what I wanted to do, but I'm going to graduate a year early now because of it. So I didn't have to waste any time doing classes that didn't mean anything to me. I could just focus on what I wanted to do. And yeah, so the professors are because the class sizes are so small, you really can get to know your professors. I can't think of any other department where we get fidget toys for class, where every student has a fidget toy, and if you lose it, she gives you new ones. And then I also wanted to touch upon, you mentioned before that research is available in every field. So I found out through Dr. Young, who is one of my professors and still is, that she was doing a human sexuality lab. So I get to work in a lab called Sex Lab to do research on something related to social work that is interesting and intriguing to me, whereas I hated research going into school. I was like, not gonna happen. So I got to try that out. There's really a variety of opportunities. Someone mentioned the commute before, so I just wanted to address that. It's really not that bad at all. You just go to the bus on campus. They run about every 20, maybe 30 minutes for most of the day. And you just hop on and it takes you right downtown. And if you're at a weird time or something, every bus basically goes downtown at some point. So when you get to the campus, you can kind of just step on a bus and it'll probably get there. So it's really not that bad. It's 10-minute stops. But yeah, so that's why I chose the social work program. I really stand by it. I think that it's preparing me for grad school. I start field placement next semester, so I can't really touch too much upon that. But I could say, like, looking at the list of all the resources and all the different places I can volunteer, or not volunteer, but do my field work, it really was extensive, and I definitely have options for whatever.
Great, thank you. A couple of things you highlight, I just want to touch base on real quick, and maybe you can butt in for additional on. You get fidget toys? Wow.
my birthday impression too.
And so if you lose one, you just get another one. You don't have to pay like $100 like if you lose your campus key for your room. That's awesome. Okay, cool. You also highlighted you highlighted, attending Binghamton, right? And you were initially kind of like begrudgingly, right? Because you said, okay, this doesn't have the program I want, and you have to take this and then eventually get into like MSW or something alike, right, for your master's, right? And I think that you touched on a really interesting point. Is part of why this BSW program was developed. It went all through not just the faculty and staff and administration at Binghamton, through SUNY, and was approved and is going strong. Is partly due to, I know, like, if you look across the country, especially, there are a number of BSW programs, but there's also probably more bachelor art programs or bachelor science programs that can then segue into a MSW for something more specific, right? And that's always an option for those students that are listening in or watching in that are thinking more broadly, right? And they're not necessarily sure yet. And that's also in many cases where HDev, where human development, can come into play too. But you touched on something, because you were going to go pretty much that kind of bachelor to master's route, but because you had the focus that you were going to go into a human services social work career, offering the BSW and having that there for you now really just made it just seem so much better, because now you have the specific pre-professional focus to eventually go from BSW in.
Also add on top of that, I know it was mentioned before, but because there's an accelerated program, so because I'm getting my bachelor's in social work, I only have to do 1 year of my master's. So by doing this program, I've actually shaved 2 years off of my total college time. That's a lot of money. And it's not like I was forced to do that. It was something that I chose, and definitely worked with other people to get the opinions on. So yeah.
Thank you. And then just a couple of the little quick things that you had mentioned on the importance of economic value, right? And the value, right? Let's talk about that. There are a number of students that are interested in Binghamton for a number of different reasons, right? But I think what really makes Binghamton stand apart is not just the education value, not just the opportunities outside the classroom, right? Your practicums, your field placements and experience, but also a combination of the value, right? The opportunities for accelerated degree programs, the opportunities to double degree and still graduate in a time frame that is not just academically, but economically feasible to a number of students. No matter where you're coming from across the world, Binghamton is a great value, not just in cost, but in the return on investment. And I think that definitely, you all have definitely talked and really shine light on the importance of that. And our size. So we're with undergraduate and graduate students, we're probably around a little under 18,000 students, right? Between 17,000 and 18,000 students, mostly undergraduate students, but a number of grad students as well. This might sound large to some of you listening and in. This might sound small to some of you listening and watching in. We are in many cases a nice happy medium. There are big university opportunities here that you can see, obviously right here in CCPA, but there's also our size. We're not too large where you're not a number. This is definitely the case in CCPA. You have that one-to-one attention with your faculty, your staff, and your peers. You can connect with them in many different cases to learn guidance, not just academically, but socially as well, just kind of navigating, the whole experience at Binghamton. And that's where our size comes into play, and that we're not too big. There's room to breathe here. You kind of don't feel like everybody's just packed in, but you also don't feel like you're just a number, that you're just one of a number of 1,000 people and nobody's really going to pay attention. You're kind of left to your own devices. And I'm pretty sure everybody can back me up on that. Anything that anyone on our panelists would like to add about CCPA, HDev, our pre-social work program, through our BSW program, our master programs? Anything anybody like to add before we take some live questions? Going once, going twice. Yoda? No? Okay. All right. So let's go to the Q&A and let's see. And thank you once again to our panelists who not just sharing their perspectives and the information about the programs here in CCPA, but also, for taking questions on the back end with many of you. Hopefully you're sending in your questions. Let's check it out. And of course, in lieu of everything going on, the very first question I see is Binghamton accepting this year's online AP test credits? So let's see, I'm gonna answer that live, so I'll click that.
Did you want me to talk about this a little?
Sure.
Okay. So the answer is yes, we are going to be accepting the online AP test credits. So typically when students send in their AP scores to Binghamton, we evaluate them based on their score. We typically accept scores of 3, 4, and 5. And depending on the subject and the score, we'll identify whether you're going to get general credit or if we're going to assign a direct course equivalency to those. So while I know that, yes, we will be accepting the AP scores for this spring, what is up in the air is whether we're going to be able to assign a direct course equivalency to those credits. So we do know that you will, yes, receive 3, 4 credits for your scores, but we are not sure if we can say, you know, you took the AP Psych, if we're going to assign you the equivalent of our Psych 111 yet.
Okay, thank you. How many students are in, it says the CCPA department, but I'm going to break that down a little. And I was wondering if Regina, Sarah, if you can add and chime in, how many students in total are in the HDEV program? How many students are in the pre-social work and then BSW program? And then even if you want to talk a little more about briefly some of the master degree programs, if you know maybe specific numbers about those, some of our popular programs there.
Go ahead, Sarah.
All right, so my answer is pretty easy. We are in the first year of our BSW program. So Katie is in the inaugural class, and we have 20 BSW students. We are a highly selective program, and so we accept up to 30 students per cohort. So that doesn't mean every application we take, but we are a very small program, concentrated, dedicated to our students. And I can tell you in our MSW programs, we have between 180 and 220 MSW students, and that's full-time students as well as part-time students.
Great.
So currently the undergraduate program in human development has roughly 530 students, and this is across all class years, so from freshmen on to seniors. Our classes, however, are quite small. All of the courses at CCPA are capped at 48, and this is specifically because we have small, intimate classrooms that only seat 48. So if you're going to be a student with us in CCPA through your time of graduation, you can expect to know the students who are in your cohort, you can expect to know your faculty, and you can expect to have really great in-depth conversations in your classes.
Thank you. Okay. Many of the questions were actually answered beforehand. Thank you all. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, David. And thank you to the panelists as well. Let me just see if there's anything else. Just wave.
Yeah, something I noticed, if you don't mind me adding, is
Sure,
that a lot
please.
of the questions had to do with combining CCPA with other things. So I was wondering if maybe Jessica and Katie can talk a little bit about what it's like to be a student in CCPA, but also combining that either with a secondary major or maybe clubs or organizations that you're involved in on campus. Like, how are you able to balance all of the different opportunities that are available at Binghamton?
I guess I'll talk. So I came in undecided, but then I was initially actually a double degree in HDEV and Latin American Caribbean Studies, but then I decided to make that a minor. In terms of trying to balance 2 majors or 2 degrees, it really depends on how early or how much crossover there is between the classes. So like even with a bunch of my own friends, a lot of them have done like double degrees. So like one of my friends, she's HDEP and economics, which seem like they're completely different, but there's actually a couple classes that she can use the knowledge in her other classes. So the earlier you declare it, the easier it is to schedule it out so that you can graduate on time. That's my highest recommendation. Minors are more easily to like take on later in your academic careers. And then in terms of like balancing everything, you find a way. So one of the things that like what's really interesting is that all classes are at different times of the day. None of them are all just going to be in the morning. None of them are going to be just at like night. Some of them are like mid-afternoon. And like what's really nice about college is that you get to choose what times your classes are. So then whatever interests you may have, you can try to adapt those to your schedule. So like if you're interested in sports, those can be easier to manage. So you'll do your classes, you can manage your classes earlier, and then you could take a club sport at like during the evening or night. And then there's also a lot of like organizations do their programs at like 9 to accommodate the whatever time classes you may have. So it's like really easy to like balance everything, especially if you want to be on an executive board of an organization.
Thanks, Jessica.
So in the social work department, I know that we have one student who's a double major in social work and HDev. So she's actually majoring in both at the same time. And then we have another student who is double majoring in social work and psychology. And then I originally wanted to do a minor in history, but there wasn't really enough time to fit that in because of my accelerated programming. But I did get to take about a year and a half of just taking whatever classes I wanted. So that included a lot of really, really interesting history classes without having to actually do like the 100 level history classes that didn't seem as interesting to me. So even though I'm not getting the minor, I still got to take the classes I was interested in.
Great, thank you. So I think that is, okay, I got one last question and then we'll end it there. What if you're not sure whether to major in HDev or BSW? Do you have to know before you apply sophomore year spring? Would anybody like to answer that?
I can get us started and
awesome.
see if Regina wants to enhance what I have to say. So it's absolutely fine not to know when you come into CCPA. And in fact, I think part of the joy potentially in your first year is exploring what it is that you're passionate about and what you want to shape your education through. And in fact, the first year on our campus, you're going to be taking classes that very likely apply to both degrees or other double degrees or minors. So I think it's really, it's amazing to get here and to really get your feet wet and learn more about the majors. We have an introduction to social work. There's an introduction to HDev. Those would be great classes to take to really help you understand the difference. And so there's not pressure. If you decide you want to be a BSW major, then we hope that by the end of your sophomore year, you're going to know that the BSW is something you want to pursue. And I would say Regina and other supports in the college are also there to help you sort that through from an advising perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that's great about our two programs in CCPA is that there is overlap in prerequisite courses. So in your whole entire first year at Binghamton, regardless of whether you come into CCPA as an HDev student or as a potential BSW student, or even if you came in as Harper, everybody at Binghamton is taking a similar first year curriculum that includes general education courses and prerequisites that could go on to a multitude of majors. Specifically in CCPA, all of our students are going to be taking general psychology and introductory sociology. So you know, if you're not sure which major you want to take in CCPA, you have to take both of those classes anyway. Sarah mentioned the intro social work class. We have the introductory human development class. The intro HDev class also overlaps with a general education course. So you can take that course, learn about the major, but also get general education credit at the same time. So it's totally fine in your first year to not know and get to kind of explore a little bit.
Thank you all.
I also want to add, utilize the peer advisors because not just CCPA has them, also Harper. And you could talk to us about like our experiences in our classes or like what we think of our classes. And then you can even ask like other peer advisors if they know anybody that had that struggle or went through that and what their deciding factors were. Or like we can tell you people to connect to in terms of like really figuring out like what does you want. And even then you can still come to us to rant about like which one you're debating and maybe we can help you a little bit in decision making.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about the size, right? That's where our size being big enough comes into play. There's a number of people that probably have been through some similar experiences in that regard academically. Yeah.
Something else that I think is great about peer advising that we often don't focus on is that if you go to academic advising, a professional academic advisor, and you really want to know about an instructor's teaching styles or what it's like in that classroom, they're going to give you a very professional answer. But if you go to a peer advisor, they really give you a lowdown on what it's like to actually sit in the class and work with that faculty person, or, you know, was that work really that hard in that course? So it's just that peer-to-peer element that they can offer.
Okay. So with that, we'll sign off. Thank you once again to our panelists. I know there could be some hand claps and stuff like that for our people watching in. Thank you most of all to our guests for tuning in and for your questions and for your interests. And we hope to see all of you here at Binghamton University in the very, very, very near future. So please make sure you send us your emails and your inquiries. We'll have many different chat hours throughout the week where you can speak to an admissions counselor or a current student. We have a number of students as part of our our tour guides and ambassador program, and other current students who are happy to provide their perspectives as well. And with that being said, everyone have a wonderful weekend, a pleasant weekend, be safe and healthy. And we hope to once again see and hear more from you soon. Take care, everybody.